Hey, what's up? Kris Krohn here, and today I want to talk to you about my very first property I bought at the age of 22. I've gone on to do hundreds of properties, thousands, and today I want to just kind of share with you how it all started and what was a young 22-year-old thinking. I'm challenging you, if you're younger, to do it sooner than me, and if you haven't done it yet, make it happen. 'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. I'm sitting on the steps of this tiny little bungalow property. My realtor had brought by like this amazing epic pizza from the famous pizzeria. My wife was sitting there on the steps, and it was this surreal moment where I'm eating this pizza and I hardly have any appetite because I just finished buying my very first home. Part of me felt like an adult, part of me felt scared, part of me felt really accomplished. What I didn't know in that moment on those dirty steps taking possession of that property was that years later I'd sell it and make $65,000. Along the way I'd rent out that basement and I'd live for free. And ultimately it would be the start of something that would change everything in my future. You see, when you buy your very first house, you're either buying a home or a house, and you need to know which. Most people, they're buying a home. They're buying a place that they can live in. They're buying a place that they'll say, hey, this is my abode. This is where my family's going to get raised, or this is where I'm going to hunker down. This is where I'm going to lay down some roots. But not for me. I didn't buy a home. I bought a house. My buddy bought a home on the hill. Beautiful. We had the same income. But I bought an investment property, and that's what I mean by house. There was a plan behind it. And the plan was for this thing to launch an entirely different financial future for myself. So how did I get there? Dude, if I rewind and back up, I was a college kid, totally lost. I couldn't do what I was going to college for. I was getting pressure from my in-laws that I was going to get disowned if I didn't get a degree. I was talking to my counselor, talking about my psychology degree or an education degree or something else. Nothing felt right, and I felt lost in this world. 22-year-old feeling lost? I don't know if any of you can relate to that feeling, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. And what ended up happening was I found a mentor that put me on a path. That might happen for one of you right now. You see, my mentor had made over $10 million in real estate. And I'm like, okay, dude, show me, what do I need to do? And he said, well, Kris, right now, you've barely worked a year at this job, less than a year, 10 months of history. You need a 2-year history. And you got to get some money in savings so you can do a down payment, and you got to build your credit. And he sat down with me and he told me these 3 things. Number 1, 2-year work history, same job. Number 2, he said, save up $5,000 because if you buy a small home, that'll cover a 3% down payment. And number 3, he said, Kris, you got 1 credit card, you need to get 2 more so that you can show people that you are responsible with using and paying off and using and paying off your credit. I did that for 14 months. And I'll tell you what, 14 months later, I was driving around. I barely hit the mark where like the banks would barely go with me. And it was weird. It was almost like it was fated. I don't know if you've ever felt that way where you felt like some invisible hand playing a role in your life, but I was driving home and I just felt like I needed to drive home a different way. So I took this weird long way around through these streets I would have never driven just because I felt like it. And it was in May and the sun was out and it was blue sky and it was snowing sideways. Super bizarre weather, but something that can happen on Utah on a rare occasion. And right as the snow started hitting my windshield, I passed a house and there was a for sale by owner sign. And I just had this feeling, this is it. I U-turned my car around, I parked, and I studied the house, which was a tiny little brick rambler, and I studied the sign, and the sign said, you know, for sale by owner. So I was terrified. I had very little training. I didn't know what I was doing, but I got out of my car and I flipped up the back of my hatchback of my old 1992 Honda Accord, or it wasn't even Accord, it was a Civic. It was red with a little spoiler. And I pulled it up and I fished through my things and I found a pad and paper. And I remember walking up to the doors of this house. Oh, I can still feel like it was yesterday, man. It was like my stomach was in knots, so many butterflies. I was terrified. And I said, like, just fake it, dude, just fake it, just fake it. Just pretend you're calm. But dude, I was a young kid and I seriously probably looked like I was 14 years old. I knocked on the door. This grouchy woman came to the door and only opened it a crack. She's like, what do you want? And I could immediately smell smoke coming in, and it Didn't smell good in there, but I was determined. Something inside said, leap, this is it. So I noticed on the sign she had listed the house for $110,000. I didn't even know what it was worth. But I remember saying, I'd like to buy your house. So I started negotiating on the deal. And I remember I'm like, all right, well, can I buy the house for $100,000? And she barked back 110. And I'm like, I'm laughing at myself. I had no agent. I had no representation. Like I hadn't even seen the house and I was making offers. Like that's how dumb and naive I was. I just knew that I needed this thing. Anyway, funny story is she didn't want to negotiate at all. She lets me in. I start walking around. The place is a nightmare. It smells as been updated for 40 years. They have 2 big dogs in the house, poop in the corner. I kid you not. And yet something said this is it. So I got the information on it. I went back to my mentor and I said, all right, here's the house. Crunch the numbers. Looks like the house fixed up would be worth over 150 grand. So I get it under contract with this woman. I go to the bank and the bank turns me down. And I'm like, wait a second. I've done my homework. I got my credit. I got this. And he said, Kris, chill out, man. You've never done this before and you're barely able to do this. I went to the second bank. They shut me down. At this point, I'm like, I'm going to lose my earnest money. I'm going to lose the deal. But on the third bank, they barely squeaked me through. And the moment I sat down at that table to sign, I was terrified. I was nervous. I was scared. I was such a skeptic. It's so odd now when I look at myself today. But I did buy that house. And my wife and I, we had a $3,000, $2,700 tax return, I think, from taxes. And we took that and we went to Cancun, which I don't even know why we did that. But I said, we're going to travel and make that a habit. So we bought the house. We went to Cancun, came back a week later, and then started the adventure. We fixed up this little crap hole. We lived in it for 2 years. We made it our home. We made it beautiful. And, you know, being that young and actually getting that advice at 22, buying that house, then 14 months later, that started everything. What really made it work was not what I knew. It wasn't courses I had taken. It was the help of having a mentor for sure. And then it was the courage to act. It was a good deal, and then I acted. I can't tell you how many people don't take action when the time is right. And you reset your life and you set things back in such a negative way when you do that. So that's the story of me, guys, buying my very first house. And I want to tell you something. Right now, if you want to make $1 million in real estate, you just got to start with a deal. And you're going to be at like max scaredness. But what you need is a mentor. You need someone that's got your back, and you need someone that can check your work. And right now, if you don't have a mentor, I'm letting you know that that's the role that I play for several people. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. I'm going to give you some information, get a copy of my book for free, get with my team. They'll explain how it all works. And for those of you that were starting with nothing like me, I created this for you. And it's in service of helping you get where you want to go in your life because you deserve it. You got this one life, man. Live it epic, live it huge, because that first house, that can change everything for you if you do it the right way. So thanks for watching. Listen, if you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber right now. Ring that bell. And tomorrow, I got more videos coming your way designed to help you achieve not just financial freedom, but time freedom, emotional freedom, frankly, having it all and living the life of your dreams. You deserve it. You got this one life. Live limitless.